What's going on, Guardians? It's Tizzle here. In today's video, I will be breaking down how the new perk Golden Tricorn works. The perk states final blows with this weapon grant bonus damage. While this buff is active, grenade or melee kills of the same damage type greatly increase its damage and duration. When I first read this perk, I got very excited and thought of all the combinations that would be possible. I thought everything would buff everything else, as in kills with the weapon would buff melee or grenade damage and vice versa. However, after testing, that is not how this works. How it actually works is like this. You have to get a kill with the shotgun first. This gives you a 6-second timer. While this timer is active, the shotgun hits for 15% more damage. The pellets hit for 2670 damage at base and then 3070 damage per pellet with one stack of the buff. However, if at any time you get an arc grenade or melee kill, it will extend that timer to 10 seconds and give you Golden Tricorn times 2. This allows your shotgun to deal 50% more damage, hitting for 4004 damage per pellet. One thing to note is all of this testing was done without minor or major specs on, so the shotgun could do a little more damage. At times 2, Golden Tricorn is quite strong, but this is quite situational as it requires you to use your abilities to get a kill. So while pellet shotguns did just get a PvE damage buff, this still wouldn't be very viable for a boss fight. Another thing I was curious of is if the perk stayed while stowed, as I thought maybe you could proc the perk, debuff an enemy with tractor cannon, and then take advantage of the extra damage. Sadly, this does not work. The perk goes away when you stow it. So now that we know how it works, is it worth running? The two best damage increasing perks on shotguns are Trench Barrel and 1-2 Punch. 1-2 Punch doesn't increase the damage of the shotgun, but it increases your melee damage, and you can do some absolutely bonkers things with the right setups, especially on Titan or Combination Blow Hunter. So depending on what type of build you are running, you may find a use in Golden Tricorn over 1-2 Punch. It is very build dependent. However, the damage ceiling for certain builds is far higher with 1-2 Punch. So overall, I think Golden Tricorn is worse because it involves more setup and you only get the damage buff when you follow those certain steps, where 1-2 Punch will increase your melee damage every time you land your shot on an enemy. The other comparison to make is with Trench Barrel. With 1-2 Punch you melee afterwards, with Trench Barrel you melee before, and then you have 3 shots that deal 50% more damage, and all it takes is a melee. With boss stomp mechanics, you probably have to melee within 3 shots anyways just to stay near the boss. On top of that, it doesn't require a charge melee, and with the new melee keybinds, this is very easy to control. Trench Barrel will work on 100% of your engagements, where Golden Tricorn, you need a kill and then an ability kill to get a 10-second damage buff. If you have to go out of your way to get that kill, then you may only have the buff for a few seconds on the high health target you are trying to use it on. Whereas with Trench Barrel, you will have it exactly when you want it, you just have to melee first. First off, I want to say that I love the new perks being added to the game, as it is always fun to tinker with new things. However, I think Golden Tricorn misses the mark. If it did double damage, then maybe it would be worth it, or if it buffed your melee and grenade damage as I initially thought it would, then we might be onto something. But as it stands right now, it is not worth running over Trench Barrel or 1-2 Punch. The Fractithis at base hits the boss for 5% more damage than the Matador 64 because Fractithis is kinetic, and they always deal 5% more damage than energy weapons. So the Fractithis with Trench Barrel was hitting 3284 per pellet, and the Matador was hitting 3128 per pellet with Golden Tricorn times 2. Both weapons were at 1330 light and neither had mods on. They are both precision frame shotguns, so it was a totally apples to apples comparison. So yeah, overall, this perk is too niche in my opinion and doesn't have a big enough payoff. I hope this deep dive into Golden Tricorn answers any questions you may have had about how this perk works. It's a cool concept, but it under-delivers compared to the meta shotgun perks. It also rolls on the Sniper Rifle 1000 yard stare and the Trace Rifle retrace path. So maybe there is some utility there, as a Trace Rifle dealing 50% more damage for 10 seconds could be very strong. But for that scenario, you would have to be running a solar subclass and set everything up. Regardless, this is the first legendary Trace Rifle in the game, so it may play better on that weapon than it does a shotgun. As for the Sniper, it is hard to beat Vorpal Weapon, as it is consistent and requires no setup. The Trace Rifle also rolls with Frenzy, Harmony, and One for All of which give a damage buff similar to Golden Tricorn times 1, but they are far easier to set up. It is the only damage increasing perk on 1000 yard stare, however, but again, for a DPS encounter, or even just a champion in a Nightfall, it takes a lot of setup. Something like Firing Line, and especially Vorpal Weapon, would be far more consistent. Hopefully Bungie sees that this perk is undertuned and changes it up in some way to be more valuable. If it buffed melee damage, then it could actually be very good with Top Tree Arc Staff when Combination Blow is active. That being said, 1-2 Punch already pairs amazingly well with that build. If it buffed grenade damage, then you may be able to get some good synergy with Verity's Brow on a Warlock. But all these are hypothetical cases, because right now, it doesn't do those things. As it stands currently, it is pretty useless. Golden Tricorn ×1 acts kind of like Rampage, so it might have a bit of utility in PvP for chaining kills, but unlike Rampage, it doesn't keep stacking and the buff doesn't extend after weapon kills. Another kill with the shotgun does not extend the timer of Golden Tricorn. It needs to be a melee or grenade kill, and it needs to be on a subclass matching the weapon type. But that's it, folks. I hope this video helped you out, and if it did, then a like and subscription would be greatly appreciated. Let me know down below if you think this perk is worth getting. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Take care.